Now hair wants to get in my eye. Oh my gosh. Oh, thank you for tuning in to Church Biz here at WCEG Network. I am your host, Rev Patrina McClure. I do so appreciate you taking time out to be with us here in the WCEG Network studio. If you are listening to us, you are either on WCEGTalkRadio.com or hopefully you can check us out via YouTube at WCEG Network. And then you can also contact us via Instagram, Twitter. You can call us on today here at 678-619-1402 to ask questions, make comments, or voice your concerns as we talk with our lovely guest here in the studio. I will introduce you to her momentarily, but let us hear from you. You can call us again at 678-619-1402. That is also our Skype number. And then also the topics and the opinions of us show host here and our guests are not those of WCEG Network, so you can contact us individually if you have any concerns. But we do thank you for your continued support. But again, welcome to Church Biz here. We are in the studio with the lovely and dynamic Dr. Victoria Thedford. Hi, Dr. Thedford. Thank you for being with us on today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, so glad to have you here. We want to talk about an array of topics on today as we talk about the personal responsibility of health. And that is an never exhausted subject, if you will. We can keep talking about health issues, concerns, until now and kingdom come.
Absolutely.
But tell us about yourself, Dr. Thedford.
Well, I am a native Atlantan. I was born here. I went to high school here and I went to undergrad here at Clark College. And then I received my calling and into medicine. And I actually did my training in Michigan. So I did med school and my residency in Michigan, and then I came back home to my wonderful Atlanta.
And we need you here in this area. All right. So how was that to receive your call? How did you hear the Lord speak to you in regards to going into the field of medicine?
Well, actually, I always known that I wanted to help people, but at first it was animals. I loved animals. I used to bring everything home, drove my mother crazy. And I used to heal them and patch them up and fix them and then let them go. And so I thought I wanted to be a veterinarian. And then one day I met a pregnant woman moved into my neighborhood, and we were drawn to each other, and I used to be around her, and I watched this baby grow in her, and I was actually fortunate enough to be around during the delivery. And then once this baby came out, I said, I love people. And so then I knew, I want to be in the medical field. So I actually was thinking I want to be a nurse. Because that's as far as my mind could think at that time. But all during school, my counselors always said, oh, you're very smart. You need to go to college and you need to do things. So there was this one particular nursing school in Atlanta, the only one there. So in the senior in high school, I took the test, which is only offered once a year. And I did very well on a test, but I did not get in. So my counselor said, well, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I think I'll work for Walmart. And she says, oh, no, you're not. And she helped me to apply, and I got into Clark. And the counselor asked me, what did I want to do? And I said, well, be in the medical field. And so that's how I got into biology. So I figure I'll just do a year there and then retake this test. So I did very well that year. And then I retook this test. I scored in the 95th percentile.
Wow.
And I still didn't get in. So I was very sad and upset and crying. And the counselor says, well, keep going here. You're doing very well. So I did another year of undergrad in biology pre-med, did very well. And then I took this test again. And I scored in the top 3%. And I didn't get in. So I said, Lord, why are you doing this to me? I was so angry with God. But as I progressed through undergrad and did well, my counselor is like, why don't you just be a doctor? And then I thought, how can I do that? And, and then God showed me, I closed that nursing door for you because I did not want you to be a nurse.
Wow.
And he opened every door all the way through med school and residency. Kids came along the way. I did not miss a beat. So all of that is because that's where God wanted me.
Amazing. And those are some critical things you said. God will close the door. And we misunderstand the disappointment or those closed doors, if you will. We think it means like it's a denial. When God is saying, no, it's my direction. I'm leading you to where I want you, where you will flourish, be the happiest and the most productive, most contributing.
And it's always better than what we thought we wanted.
Powerful.
Absolutely.
All right. And then how did you end up in Michigan though?
And actually that's part of God's will as well.
Wow.
Because I applied to Morehouse School of Medicine, and applications didn't get in, the recommendations didn't get in, so I missed that year. And I actually started grad school, working on my PhD in molecular genetics, and that's my next love. I love research. And then I met, I knew my husband at the time. Well, we were dating, and then he got a job offer in Michigan, and he thought, would you like to come? And then I had things going on in Atlanta that I thought, I do want to get away from because they were hindering me.
Okay.
And I left, went there with him, and that was God. I needed to be in that place. I learned so much, opened up the doors, had a new experienced new people, a different state. So I definitely needed that.
Oh, wow. And I just heard, in fact, my father made the statement a few days ago, how when you travel the world, you don't stay locked in one geographic location all of your life, how it really broadens your understanding, your experiences, and it makes you a better, well-rounded person.
Totally agree with
and
that.
So we don't look at travel like that because so many of us get stuck in doing, or like I always say, being basic.
Yes.
Just surviving, doing the same thing every day, going to work, come home, cook, clean up, and they're happy.
Yes.
I'm not knocking anybody, but for me, I need a little bit more. Okay. So, like they say, different strokes for different folks, but that is so amazing. These are really life principles and more God-directed principles.
Absolutely.
The more we hang in there with God, we get same messages, but in a way that we can grasp those messages that Christ is all and in all.
Absolutely.
Yes. Amen. All right. So we have an array of topics that we do want to discuss, and one of them I keep bringing out. I don't know why it keeps coming to the forefront for me, but we did talk off air and a couple of days ago by text about organ donations, especially within the African American communities. And then you mentioned right before we came on how there were some misnomers out there, because I was even saying some. So can you tell us about that, even though you're an internist? Okay.
Yes. Well, generally, organ donation, that has saved many lives. It's extended lives where doctors are getting better at it. But in order to receive one, there has to be a donor.
Right.
So one of the fears in the African American community is the fear of becoming a donor. So basically, there are two organs that you can give while you're alive. We have 2 kidneys, so we can give a kidney and we can give part of a liver. And generally that works best with relatives because we're more of a match for them. But other organs, the person has to die in order to give up these organs. So as I tell everyone, when you're dead, you don't need them. They don't do anyone good. But myself and my kids are organ donors. That's on our license. So basically what happens is your organs are harvested and it goes into a match. They check proteins and enzymes, and then they find the person that closely matches you. And that's very important, because if you're not a good match and you receive something, then the organ is going to die, and it's not going to do anyone any good. But the first thing is to be one, to contribute. The second thing is, as Blacks, we don't think about being on the organ donor list. A lot of times. Heart disease, kidney disease, #1 killer among everyone, especially in Blacks. And when our kidneys go, we just think, oh, dialysis is the end thing, and it's not. So we don't think about, hey, let's get on this organ donation list. So that's another thing that we need to raise awareness of.
Okay. So what is happening during the kidney dialysis thing? What takes place when?
Okay, well, kidneys, they remove waste from the body, so there are filters, so we need them. Our bodies can work on one of them with one kidney, but we need kidneys. And so when they fail, they can't get rid of toxins and waste. And of course, if that can't happen, our body dies. So dialysis is a machine kidney. You get hooked up to the machine, so it takes the blood out, takes all the toxins out, and then put the rest back in your body. So it dialyzes the toxins out of your blood.
Okay. So I think because we've always heard people going on to dialysis, that in our mindsets, that's the next thing if your kidneys go out.
Right. Yes.
But are there telltale signs that we're struggling with kidney issues before we get to that point?
There are, and the bad part is we don't realize it until the signs become manifest, and then it's too late. That's the importance of going to the doctor, getting your yearly physicals, the health maintenance and preventative medicine. So when you come in for your yearly physical, we check those things. So if we see an enzyme that's a little bit off, then that's what points our attention to it, because when it starts, it takes years sometimes, depending on the cause, for it to happen. So if we got an inkling at the very beginning, a lot of times we can stop whatever caused that problem, and then we will never need to go to dialysis. So that's the first big thing, just going to the doctor, making sure everything is healthy. And then, but by the time we realize something is wrong, it's really bad. So that's why it's very important to try to do that preventative medicine.
So because we don't feel like something is wrong, that's not a good reason to not go to the doctor.
Absolutely. And that's another reason, off subject, why they call hypertension the silent killer, because you feel great while it's doing all this little damage. You don't feel it until it adds up to the big heart attack, the big stroke. Same with kidney disease. You feel fine until it's added up to something big. So generally, first telltale signs is the urine. You may be urinating more frequently or less frequently, and then you can get little aches and pains, but you bump it off to, oh, I must have stretched wrong or something like that. So our body continuously gives us telltale signs, and then we blow them off a lot.
And I'm guilty of it. I remember I ended up having Chiari. Okay. And so I ended up having to have the surgery, all of that. But for so long, I always heard, you're just getting older.
Absolutely.
So I thought I was getting older.
Absolutely.
I'm like, who would ever thought I was having brain surgery?
Absolutely. Yes.
And never knew it. And it took, the way I understand it, the typical way that they find out, you have to have like a car accident or some kind of catastrophic event for it to get discovered. And in most cases, it's too late. So the person is either paralyzed or about to die from it. And in my case, I've survived all of these years till up a year and a half ago when it got discovered.
Absolutely. Wow.
So everybody's like, your age.
Yes.
And I'm like, I know this should have been discovered in my 20s, but I'm well past there. Right. So it was a God kind of thing. He just kept me until then.
Absolutely.
But the amazing thing was my youngest daughter had the same surgery when she was 6.
Wow.
So now they're like, maybe it's hereditary. Yes. We've never known anyone to have it to be. So I'm like, whatever. Lord, you just kept all of us.
In
but
Jesus'
anyway,
name, amen.
Yes. So, but getting back to the organ thing, how does diet play towards our whole this whole unique design of the body. God was at his best work when he created each of us.
Absolutely.
And so therefore we have to be responsible for maintaining this gift called good health, a body, a mind, spirit.
Yes. You've said it. Prevention is the best key. We can prevent so many things that happen to us. So the high blood pressure, diabetes, the obesity, if we prevent that from happening, then we won't get symptoms from it. So, and of course, diet is our number one thing. And when we think of diet, it's like, oh, I want to go on diet, I need to lose this weight. You should think of it globally as this is a lifestyle change.
Okay.
Not just a diet to do this. Dieting is a lifestyle change. So if you have bad habits, then you want to change those forever, not just until you lose this 20 pounds and then go back to what you're doing, or else you're going to be back in the same spot that you're in. So it's a lifestyle change, and you have to make up in your mind, this is what I want to do. I want to be healthy. And for me, this is what's going to be healthy for me. And it's great when you can involve people with it, your family, your children. People can do it alone, but it's great when you have partners in that. So you have to think, what do I want to change? What's not healthy about what we do, what I'm doing? So if I know that I eat fried foods every single day, then eventually that's going to cause a problem. And so now I think, okay, what am I going to do to change that? And some people try to, do so much stuff at one time. Basically, baby steps. Take one day at a time. So instead of saying, I'm going to cut out all fried foods, I'm going to say, well, today I am going to eat just veggies and baked stuff. And then let's see what happens tomorrow. So those baby steps really gears you up to kind of help you with maintaining that lifestyle.
You said something critical, just vegetables today. So many of us are programmed to eat meat every day. And so it's a big challenge.
Yes.
To consider Xing it out a few meals during the week as opposed to every day. And then another physician even told me to watch that show. I haven't done it yet because I know how I am. What's the Health? And I'm like, see, I'll watch that. I'll probably stop eating altogether. So then I'm going the other extreme. And I need to deal with this issue here. And so what is your intake on that?
I have to say it has to be individualized. One size does not fit all. I am a meat eater. I tried to go on an all veggie diet. That lasted 16 hours, honestly. So it's like, I have to have some meat. So now I know that I have to have some meat. So then I changed the type of meat and the amount of meat that I needed. So instead of having this nice fat steak, I just chose, okay, I'll have this little half a chicken breast. That did my meat fix. And I was able to still eat more veggies and not revert, and fail because, oh my God, it didn't even last 16 hours. And every commercial that came on TV was something about meat. And then, of course, patients, oh, Dr. Thedford, I made you this roast. It's like, no. So Satan tries you all the time. He does. When you're trying to do something, he sends everything at you. But the biggest thing is you have to individualize it to yourself. If you know that you have to have at least some kind of sweet, then don't go on a diet that has zero sweets. You're going to fail. So what you do is cut way down and then allow your body to get used to it, because you're throwing your body in shock. If you have sugar every single day and all of a sudden no sugar, your body's going to go into shock. And that's why a lot of people fail and revert back, and then they binge. So basically you got to give it a little bit and then curve it down, and that works significantly better.
Okay, because I needed to hear that for myself. Now, one of my other issues is the snack time piece. I can do pretty good staying away from chips, but then you know how you get that little taste for something. And then I'm like, but I need something to satisfy in between so that I won't.
That is true. So first, I try to tell people don't starve yourself. That's never good. So even with all the diets out there, they still have intermittent snacking, and that actually helps keep the metabolism going, and that's what helps you burn calories.
Okay.
So when people just stop eating, they halt their metabolism. So that's why all these diets you're going to see little snacks in between. So it's okay to snack. It's what you snack and how much you snack. So of course there are urges, and first, when I get my urges, I try to choose something healthy. Okay. And sometimes that works, and then I forget about the original urge. And sometimes it's like, well, that didn't do it. And then, so I figured out a way to kind of help myself. So Snickers are one of my favorite candies.
Wow.
And so what I do when I just have to have that little Snicker fix, I will go and buy one tiny bite size, and then I'll go home or back to work, and then I eat it. Because if I buy a big bag and say, oh, I'm only getting one, I'm going to go back. So
because it's there.
Absolutely. So I try to make it just a little bit and just enough. And 99% of the time that does it. Now, sometimes I can deny myself, and then I'll get busy and not think about it. But try something healthy first. And if you must, a small amount of what it is that you like. So, they don't sell one chip in a bag. And I know that's very hard. So you may have to share with a friend and say, here, give me 2 chips out and take this away from me.
Right.
Yes.
Right. I did do something unique for me last night, which was I had a taste for something sweet, and I ate like 3 spoonfuls of yogurt.
Okay, good.
So I'm like, okay, this is doable. I see hope, see light at the end of the tunnel.
That's right. That's
I'm going. Hopefully, I'll be a little bit more successful on my journey to not only losing weight but getting more healthier in issues that the obesity brings on.
Absolutely.
So because I was telling somebody, I'm obese, and my doctor said I'm morbid. And they're like, you're not that big, but it's not that. It's what's on the inside that's happening.
Absolutely.
So my body is saying this, and I'm like, plus I don't look good on all of my pictures. So that's a sign there.
Absolutely. Now, and also one thing I'd like to say, half of it is what we're eating. The other half is activity. We have to do things to burn those calories that we eat, and that's where we fall off. So we have to be active. That's very important.
So is like just walking. I read something the other day. If you can't walk, I think it said 90 minutes a day, break it down into 3 30-minute walks, because that's better than nothing.
Absolutely.
And but it all equals the same.
Right. And I still take it further than that. Even if you can't do that, do 2 minutes of something, because that is still better than nothing. And each of those little 2 minutes, you're going to condition yourself, and then that'll help you do more. And one challenge that I give to my patients, they have a problem with working out, and when they get home, all these things they have to do. So my thing is, on Thursdays, that was scandal night. So all the homework had to be done, all the dinner had to be done, everything had to be done so that I can be ready for scandal. So what I did is, during the commercials, I would get on the floor and I would do floor exercises the whole commercial. And then when it came back, then I get to watch the program. So I combined my workout into my TV program. And that worked very well. It really did.
Well, thank you. Sometimes that's what we need, are good ideas, everyone, so that we can accomplish the goals that we have.
Absolutely.
So this is doable.
Yes.
All right. So another issue that we're hearing a lot within the last couple of years is about mental health issues, because you said you see it all.
Yes.
So how do you determine if someone is having a mental health issue, emotional, physical issue, before you land at mental health? Can you tell us that process?
Yes, they're all kind of combined. And in fact, when anyone comes into the office, especially for a physical, just say, we're not only looking at the physical. I am listening to patients. I ask them open-ended questions. How are you feeling? How's everything going? And then a lot of times that comes out. And then you can pick up on that and then extrapolate that a little bit farther. And a great example, I would say, is getting men in. That's a little hard. So the wives try to get their husbands in. But I was like, just get them to the door and I have the rest. Okay. So we get them in the door. And then basically you're putting them at ease, but you're asking them to talk instead of we're asking closed-ended questions, yes or no. You ask an open-ended question. And I get 99% of my information by doing that. And one wife felt that her husband was stressed, he wasn't himself. And after we got in, and it was just a physical, I asked him about medical stuff. And then I asked him an open-ended question about erections. And do you still get your morning erection? And then that's when the came in. I was like, tell me about it. So he had a concern in that area, but he didn't know who to talk to or what to say about it. And then after we opened it up, I ran some tests, found the problem, and fixed the problem. Then all of that went away. He totally went back to his normal self. So a lot of things that bother us, sometimes it's just something little that's a quick fix, but we feel like, oh, we're depressed. So it's not that global a lot of times. But then there are many things that are global. The depression, the anxiety, and it's a lot of things that are not a quick fix. So some people, they do well with medicines. Some people, they just need someone to talk to. And I tell all of my patients, the first thing is, the first one you talk to is God first.
All right.
God opens up the door and everything. And then he will tell you where to go because he never leaves us alone. So we have to seek him first and everything will be added. And he certainly will put that person in place to help you.
Wonderful. I remember a few weeks ago, I had a chance to talk with a young man. He lives in Florida, but he was doing some really terrible things, everything that he considered to be important in his life.
Yes.
Well, it seemed to be falling by the wayside. So he's having this emotional breakdown, doing stuff as bad as trying to get hit on a highway, running across the highway to get hit. And then a week later, he ends up taking a machine gun and walking down the street, hoping someone will call the police.
And he'll get shot.
Right. So I happened to talk to one of his siblings, and praise the Lord, I was able to talk to him on real.
Absolutely.
Say, yo, bro, you knew about all this stuff falling apart before it got to this point. You just didn't handle your business. And a lot of times I see a lot of people are stressing. It's not because you're being picked out on.
Right.
It's because you're not handling your responsibilities in a proper way so that you can net the results that you want.
Absolutely.
But you have to take responsibility for those things that are in your charge. God gave them to you to manage properly.
Yes.
So it doesn't mean because you didn't do anything about it that everything was going to stay the same or that the problems didn't exist. How often do you come across patients that have that kind of mentality? Hey, they said, yes, this was wrong, but I didn't worry about it.
Oh, all the time.
Wow.
All the time. Yes. And that's another thing. Sometimes they don't want to come to the doctor to find out what's wrong. But a lot of times, like blood pressure medicines, they come in and it's high and it's like, what's going on? Oh, well, they gave me this medicine, but I didn't take it. I don't think I need it. I'm drinking vinegar. And I go, well, look at this number. How well is that vinegar doing for you today? So sometimes they don't want to do things because they fear, they've heard, oh, this medicine does that. And so that's when I tell them that's a good opportunity to talk to your doctor about that because we have a lot of different medicines. We have a lot of different things, and a lot of things that you hear are just simply not true. So my thing is, all of my patients know that I fuss at them because I love them. But the biggest thing is explaining things to them. This is why you're on this. This is what this does. This is what happens when you don't do that. And these could be some side effects. If we meet anything, we're going to make some changes. So a lot of people are just given a prescription, say, go take it and come back in 2 weeks. And they have no idea what they're taking it, why they're taking it, what it's supposed to do. So education is key. So all my patients know I will explain everything. And if you say, well, I didn't take it. And well, before I say, well, you know better, I say, well, what happened? Why didn't you? So a lot of times we don't find out the reason. Some reasons could be, well, I just didn't have the money to buy it. It's not that they didn't want to, they just couldn't afford it. So you never know what a person's reasons are for not being compliant with things. So my first thing is why. Just tell me why, and then we'll work around it.
Okay. And from you, I'm learning how to look up things on the internet. So when you say something, I'm like, or even when my doctor says, you're going through this, like this past week, I was looking over some lab results because I took a medicine back in December and it started killing off the good bacteria.
Yes, absolutely.
That was an ordeal.
I'm sure.
So my doctor is like, okay, we need to counteract that. You know, so this is what you're doing, and praise the Lord, that's working.
Good.
I'm feeling so much better.
Good. Yes.
That was an ordeal.
I can understand.
That was an ordeal.
Yes.
So I'm like, wow, now I'm looking up. I learned that from you. Just read what this stuff says. Read everything. Like you said, you're metaphysical or metabiological. How you like to do research?
Molecular biology.
Oh, molecular biology. Okay, so so that explains why, like the rest of us that know you, we're like,
yes.
Before we say anything, let's look this up.
Absolutely.
See what we're supposed to tell so and so before we reach out to you. So that's so thank you for teaching in everything, because you're making us more alert.
Absolutely.
For our own personal health, those of us that come in contact with you. Wonderful. All right. And now you mentioned something that made me think about supplements and vitamins. Yes. What are your thoughts on those?
Vitamins are made for people who do not get what they need out of the diet. If we eat the normal diet, then we would not need vitamins. But of course we don't. We never get our correct serving of veggies and carbs and all of these things. And a lot of times we eat on the go. Guilty. So we don't get everything in. So that's when supplements come in. Now, there's a huge controversy over supplements. If you're not deficient in it, then you don't need it. And that's what I tell a lot of my patients. They come in with these big mega bottles and go, hey, I bought this for $50. Is this good? So I'll look at the bottle and I go, well, I just checked all these labs. You're not deficient in any of these.
Wow.
And they go, well, they said it's good for you. Well, everybody's different, but you're getting enough out of your diet. And so then I ask them, well, does your urine smell? Oh my God, it smells like vitamins. Yes, because your body is urinating it out. It only takes what it needs and it dumps the rest. So anything that says, oh, it's got 800 times the daily allowance, well, you don't need all of that. So your body has to dump it, and now you're putting extra work on your kidneys to go and collect all this stuff that it doesn't need and then dump it out. And a lot of times that's where kidney stones come from, because all this sediment is in the kidneys and it's trying to clear it. So more is not always better. Too much of anything is bad.
Okay.
So my thing is, I check your labs. If you are deficient in something, then that's when I'll tell you, hey, this is what you need, and this is how much of it that you need, and go get it, and then we'll watch that. So vitamins are just, it's a craze now. And I tell everybody, check your levels to see if you truly need it.
That's good advice. I know I'll be going to a nutritionist soon because I have problems processing everything.
Understood.
So it's like I'll drink water today, and tomorrow it just everything might go kaput.
Yes.
So I'll be doing that because I can't process the average supplement, vitamin, or whatever we want to call it. So now I'm afraid to try a lot of herbal supplements.
Yes.
So what about those things?
Oh goodness, good and bad. Now generally we use herbs for cooking, flavor, that type of stuff, aromas, and there are some herbs that help medicinal wise. Now the problem comes when people use herbs in lieu of something that they truly need, or they hear, oh, this herb is good for that, but you don't see what it's interacting with. So anyone on any type of medication, I always say, call your doctor, see if this herb is okay, because a lot of them interact with your medications. So blood pressure medicines, those are biggies. So they actually stop them from working. So anytime my patients come in, and I know I have them on stuff and they say they're compliant, so my next question is, what else are you taking? And then a lot of times, well, I heard this herb is going to help with that. And when we look it up, it's blocking the effects of their medication. So they can be bad for you when they interact with things. A lot of herbs, they don't do what they claim to do. They're not regulated by the FDA. So anybody can put stuff in stuff, and you think you're getting this, but it may have other things in it. So I always tell my patients, speak with your doctor, go on the website, look and see actually what you're getting. And if you're taking any kind of medications, do not take that herb until you talk to your doctor to make sure there's not an interaction.
Amazing. You just answered another question I've been wondering about me. Anyone who knows me, I love to cook with garlic.
Yes.
I love garlic. But I noticed since I've been since you said that, since I've been on blood pressure medicines, I haven't been taking it as much. I mean, cooking with it as much. So I'm wondering if there's a connect. But anyway, that'll give me something else to research. Yeah. So didn't think about that, especially with the cooking, the herbal supplements, and the medicine. So thank you for showing us that connection there. There's so much more that could be said about all of these particular issues. Getting over to aging.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, I saw something a few days ago that said that there's a difference between moisturizing and hydrating. Can you talk about that?
Well, let's see. There is a difference. They go hand in hand. But I guess I will give you an example. You have a piece of beef jerky. They're dried or whatever. So you can take some lotion and moisturize it. So the meat is all shiny and good, but it's still dried out. Okay. So that's what moisturizing is. You're still dry, but you have some moisture on it. So hydrating is, I am now infusing this with some water, and now it's going to turn back into that fat piece of beef that it started out with. So that's hydration. Okay. So that's kind of an example of, those two things, but they do go together. So yes, you can moisturize your skin, but if you're not drinking enough water to hydrate yourself, that moisturization is only going to go so far. So you really need both.
Okay, let me go buy 5 gallons when I leave here. And then I notice I'm having to buy more bottled water. I live in Douglasville.
Okay.
And I heard there were a few lawsuits against them because of the quality of water out there.
Okay.
But I am having trouble just drinking almost at this point out of anybody's tap.
Understood. Oh, no.
So I'm like, oh, wow, I have to find the waters that work for me.
Okay.
At least I'm getting it in.
Yes.
But we don't drink enough water. How does that impact the whole health mechanism?
Yes, our body has a high content of water. We need water for things to happen in our body. So when we don't drink water, things do not work as they should. So that's vitally important to get that. So not just for our skin, but our blood volume, fighting off infection, things like that. We definitely need it, and we don't drink it. Guilty as well. but I try. But one of the things is we have to be more conscious with that. And again, I always have stories with my patients. One patient, the lack of water was causing the kidneys not to work well. It can't filter, it can't make enough urine, so everything becomes concentrated and it knocks the electrolytes out. And of course, that causes problems everywhere. So our thing is, okay, why are we not drinking water? So sweet tea was this person's thing. That's all they drank. it's very hard to drink water. I actually get that, because if you're not used to drinking water, then you try to go and drink a whole jug, you're not going to feel well. Again, a shock to your body. So baby steps with things. So what I've done, and also just tell them no more sweet tea. Well, that probably won't last very long, because that's what that person is used to doing, and they may not have the willpower to stop. So always compromise. So this is what I tell them. My thing that I tell them is, you're going to pay your water bill. And that means if you want this big glass of sweet tea, you're going to have to drink that much water first, and then you get your sweet tea. So you're going to pay your water bill first. So that way they're getting that water in, and by the time they get all that water in, they're probably only going to drink half of that sweet tea, because they're so full of water, but they get their sweet tea fix. So everything you can do in moderation. Wow. Yeah, so I tell them you pay your water bill, and I do that myself.
Okay.
Yes.
What about adding fruit juices to water? Is that also like cheating?
Well, natural fruits, like if you cut up, strawberries and that sort of thing and put it in the water, that's great. Now, these little packets that you rip open and add it to it, it's really not water anymore. It's that fruit drink you just made. But I will say, you do have some water in it, but now you've changed it. That's the same thing. If you take a Coke and take out all the Coke, you're still going to have that water. So that's not a substitute. Okay. Now, that could be a baby step to get to straight water, but it's not a substitute for water.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Got you. So, purified waters, any thoughts on that, or buying water filtration systems to help make it as pure?
Generally that's my opinion, that's a lot of money spent on something that a refrigerator filter can do. I would never go and purchase a whole new water filtration system when I can buy one of these things for my refrigerator, because in the end, when you look at it, it's pretty much the same. So I tell patients, don't waste your money on that. Just get a good filter, or if you like, buy bottled water. But everybody's different. If you like spending your money on that, then go ahead. But a lot of things are not necessary.
Okay. Wow. Interesting. Because I'm almost at the point of just boiling water like we used to do back in the day. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm having too many issues here.
Yes.
And do you still recommend that?
Boiling water?
Yes.
Now, the reason why we boil water is to kill off bacteria.
Right.
Now, that's not a problem that we're having here. Now, sometimes when we have floods and the water get contaminated, then they will put out that warning. Mm-hmm. So if you hear that, yes, boil the water, but boiling the water is not going to take out, it will only kill bacteria. That's basically all it would do. And if there's no bacteria in it, then you're just wasting nothing.
Time.
Yes.
Okay.
You're wasting gas to heat up the water.
Yes.
Yes.
Because it was on my list to try. So so we'll leave that alone. And then I remember how in the creation story we see that God created the water first, and then He drew the land from out of the water, which makes sense why our bodies would be approximately 70% water, that they say.
Yes.
And we have to see that it is imperative for us to get it in. And like you said, to flush our systems, to hydrate.
Yes.
Because I don't want to look prematurely wrinkled. Yeah, like beef jerky, man. Because even my girls, they're young, so they're like, "Oh, wait a minute, let me go buy some lotion and moisturize." Right. But now I'm gonna make sure I tell them hydrate.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes. All right. So we're nearing our first break here on Church Biz. Again, we want you to stay with us. We appreciate your time with us as we are in the studio with the lovely Dr. Victoria Thedford, who is blessing us with not only medical knowledge, but she's blessing us with a biblical foundation to show how we are the managers of our health, of our bodies, which are the temples of the Holy Spirit. And if we neglect to take care of the body, God will hold us accountable for how we treat it. Because I do nursing home ministry as well. So I see the effects of people. They tell me their stories. If I woulda, shoulda, coulda. You know, and then it's too late. Now they had to sell all their property so that they can maintain residence in those facilities. We don't want that to be you. You can live a healthy life, but you have to do some work. It just doesn't happen. You have to make up your mind that this is what you want and then do it.
Yes.
You know, we can make up our minds about a lot of things, but if we don't put the action behind it, then we're just talking about a myth, if you will, and not the actual actualization of a dream. All right, so we're about to go on break here at WCEG Network, and please stay tuned.